Hey, what's going on, Indie Warriors? Welcome back for another episode of Indie Insights. I am Old Gamer Joe, a bit disheveled this morning. I just kind of woke up. It's a huge blizzard here in New England, so I'm thankful to have power, but yeah, complete mess. And I'm tired of the snow. I'm ready for winter to end. But it's good to be with you for another episode. Of course, this is a relatively new show on the channel. We've had just 3 episodes so far. You've gotten to hear different opinions from different members of our staff. And this week, I want to talk about a subject that, well, it's been kind of a focal point throughout the years for I Dream of Indie Games that we don't use traditional numbers to score our reviews. Rather, we really want people to listen to our opinions. That was one of the original goals of this channel, to prove that games are so much more than a number and that there's all these different, interesting aspects to them that deserve to be discussed, and I just didn't see a way where that could be boiled down to a single digit, or I guess it goes up to 10, but you know what I mean. Review scores go back a long ways. I mean, think of all the magazines you grew up reading. In the 70s they started, I believe. Gosh, and they were pretty much from then on through the 80s, the 90s, you saw review scores. And today they still live on, of course. It's still the dominant way for critics to go about things. And it's still in the sizzle reels, the 9 out of 10, the 10 out of 10. I remember thumbing through EGM magazine. Of course, you'd get the numbers that way. GamePro, but one thing I did actually adapt here to the channel is, if you notice at the end of our reviews, we have a fun little genie expression. And that's kind of inspired by GamePro. So I like that element of what they did, but not so much the number. And I've never really been much for games receiving numbers. I think it's just a little bit reductive in my opinion. One of my main qualms with games receiving a score would be that, well, people don't listen, and I'm fighting for people to get back to listening and for attention spans. And now, obviously, some people do thoughtfully read through reviews or listen to what you say in a narration, but I do believe a large audience out there simply skips to the end of a video or an article, sees the number, and has kind of made their decision from there. Oh, it's a 7, I don't need to bother with that. Or, oh, it's a 6, I can definitely skip that one, don't need to spend my money there. But they didn't actually learn why it got to that point. Essentially, we are oversimplifying something that's just not that simple. Games have all of these unique moving parts. There's art to be discussed. There are different mechanics to games, of course. There's the writing. There's how the game performs. And maybe most importantly, there's the emotional impact, what you felt during that experience. And I don't think a number does a good job of summing all of that up. I think words are very important. Now, can there be a conclusion? Yes, I do think there needs to be some sort of finality. In the early days of I Dream of Indie Games, our reviews kind of just ended, and some people were on board with that, but other people wanted some sort of finality, so I get it, and that's where we came up with our Genie tier system, and actually a lot of you out there helped craft what it is today. Personally, of course, I'm biased. I think it's one of the best review systems out there because it makes it pretty damn clear what you're getting, you know, a good, great, or essential game, or far worse than that if you tend to go towards the Indie Krampus side of things. But you know, I really hate to put all of this effort and time and energy into something and then have people not listen to the actual words you said. So many times we get comments on our videos asking questions that are clearly answered in the video. So I think attention spans in a lot of ways are dying, but maybe that's just the way it's always been. There's another problem here too, and that's that a 7 can still mean good, depending on the outlet, but it's dismissed often by audiences. They see that 7 and they see, gosh, what was that in school, a C-? You know, I wasn't super happy to get a C- back in the day. I strive to do better on my next paper. And I think that mentality still exists in a lot of people where they say, oh, it's not even close to the B range, the A range. Damn, I'm not going to bother with it. And then they miss out on a lot of wonderful experiences. There's the whole conspiracy factor to numbers too, of course. Are reviews rigged? Did people get paid? Now, I can say in my experience, it's not a thing. I mean, we've never really had a situation where they were like, yo, toss us some money for a good score, man. No, that is one of those things where I think like you had a couple of bad eggs maybe that did some shady things in reviews, and it led to people believing that all reviews can't be trusted. And that's a shame because there are honest reviews out there. We pour a lot of love and care into each review that we write. We give an honest opinion. We take a lot of heat for those honest opinions here at the channel. So anyone that's like doing a phony review, well, they probably wouldn't be in this business very long, to be honest, anyways. And as you've seen in those few rare instances, I know there was a huge plagiarism issue back in the day at IGN, and you saw what happened to that guy. His whole life was destroyed. So that's probably not a chance a lot of people want to take. And why would you, though? What is the point of being disingenuous? You want to tell people the truth about a product. Heck, one of my big goals at the channel is not only to give indie developers and publishers a voice, but it's to help the consumer as well, because your money is precious. You work very hard for it, and you want to spend it in the right places. We're trying to direct you towards games that we think you'll enjoy, and maybe bring an understanding as to why you might not enjoy those games too. And of course, it's important when you look at a review to understand that I'm just one individual person. My opinion doesn't stand for the rest of the world. There have been games that I've not really enjoyed very much that other people have had a blast playing, and I say, congratulations, I'll comment to them below. You know, I'm glad that you got on with this one. I didn't, but hey, it's just an opinion. It's to help guide people, and more often than not, we end up hearing back from people saying, you know, thanks a lot, Joe. We appreciate it. You were honest about this, and it helped me decide that I wanted to purchase this game. They're typically very happy with that purchase, or to avoid that game, and ultimately, they feel like they made the right decision in doing that. So anything that takes the focus away from the review itself, I think, is a negative, and I think numbers do that to a degree. I say it's time we get back to listening, hearing what reviewers have to say, and then understanding those words, and making your decisions based on that, not a singular number. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Do you think that numbers are still an important aspect of game reviews? Do they help guide you? Am I completely cuckoo for thinking that numbers are kind of meaningless in the grand scheme of things, and that it's more about words and understanding what the reviewer is trying to convey? Let me know in the comments below. Voice to the voiceless, and we'll see you back here on the channel for more great, exciting indie gaming content.